2023, Game Plan 2023. Right. So today, like I promised you at the very beginning of my welcome message, I'm getting interviewed. So I'm going to be interviewed by my lovely friend, Danielle Emmons. Danielle, why don't you go ahead before we get started and let everybody know more about you, who you help, how you help them, and anything else you want to share with us.
Okay, thank you, Liz. So I'm Danielle Emmons. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist. I work with women clients who ditch the diets and lose weight for good. And I've had the pleasure of working with Liz for over a year now on my business, and Liz has helped me so much over and beyond my expectations. So I am flattered to be here interviewing you today, Liz.
Oh, it's been nothing but a pleasure. She is my ideal client, everybody. So she's here. And you can grab all of her information below because you've already got mine. So if you are somebody struggling with your weight and you finally want to stop doing that, I can't recommend Danielle enough because life is too short to be worried about what the heck you're going to eat and your weight, in my humble opinion. All right.
So now I'm going to introduce Liz. So Liz is a business coach and project management expert. And she always says that planning is bringing the future into the present so that you can do something about it now. When planning is done, it saves money, it saves time, it allows focus to be narrowed down to what is important. And the most critical part allows you to truly measure progress. This then allows for critical evaluation to occur. You can verify what was working, what wasn't, and what needs to be changed. Strategic planning, therefore, helps you uncover options, sets priorities, and defines the method to achieve them, which is what she helps all her clients do. She is known as the coach's coach and has helped many coaches launch and grow their online businesses, including me. She particularly enjoys working with those who are yet to be profitable. So thank you for having me here to interview you today.
Thank you very much for agreeing. All righty. So
today, I was going to say, so today we're talking about how to create more leads and sales, correct?
Correct. Something that everybody that I work with wants to know.
Yes. Yeah. So first, tell me a little bit about you, share your story and how you got to where you are today.
Okay, so let's think about this because there's the long way and there's the short way. Let's do it the short way. So I have a background in IT and I used to be what we called a program manager. All that means is it's a big fancy term for the fact that I used to run rather large teams of people who were based all throughout the world to deliver IT projects, business process re-engineering projects, different implementations into either Fortune 500 companies, well-established companies who were just revamping, or what we would term a greenfield site, a startup. And I always enjoyed working with startups more because we got to do whatever needed to be done, which is exactly what I do with my coaches, right? Because you guys are all building your businesses from scratch. Most of you have never actually built a business before, didn't even know that when you got your certification or not, depending on which avenue you came to be a coach, that building a business was actually part of the job. It wasn't just a matter of putting your shingle out and leads came into your door. You actually had to get organized, figure out how to do a whole bunch of different things that you'd never done before, and then launch, and then keep doing that. And that bit is very much like a startup. So that's what I actually enjoy to do, and that's what I help people do now, is create a strategic plan. We also teach people how to do the different types of activities that one needs to do to become a successful business coach or health coach, or whatever the coach is that you're being. But primarily it starts with a plan.
Yes, it is so much more involved than I ever expected it to be. So you nailed that. So what exactly is a lead? Can you share with us?
Yeah, that's a good question, because when I started out, because again, sometimes when we're new to the business, we don't know the terminology. So what is a lead? A lead is somebody who has put up their hand to say, hey, I'm interested in your stuff. So that makes it very different from a follower on a social media platform, because some of you out there might have, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 Instagram followers, for example. They only become a lead inside your business when they have registered for something and they're on your email list. That's how we differentiate.
Yeah, that explains a lot. So how do we convert a follower to a lead to a sold client?
Right, so that's always an interesting mechanism, isn't it? Because we think that there is a magic formula, and so we all go off, if you're like me, go and buy a course that tells us exactly how to do that. And then we think it's cookie cutter, and that if the course told us to do A, B, and C, and we did A, B, and C. So a very common one is that we do something called a challenge, which is simply that we spend 4 days with somebody. For the first 3 days, we teach them something. And then on the 4th day, we do a masterclass. Now, you guys, I'm inviting you all to a masterclass next week. So if this is all new to you, look out, you'll be invited. And so in that masterclass, we present our offer. So the first thing we need to be able to do is to somehow get people interested in us, in what we do and what we offer. So convert that follower into a lead. So we put out what we would term an opt-in page. This is very detailed, it's too detailed really. And what we actually then say is we say to them, hey, I'm a coach and this is what I do. And then we make it really attractive to them, because then we describe their problem back to them. So they go, this person knows exactly what's ailing me. And then we tell them what the result is that we can get them if they come inside of our training. And that is how we convert them. But like, it's never that works. It's what we think that works. Right. What our brain.
That's what I was bring up next is,
yeah.
I mean, it's that's the process, right? Which is a great process. And you're amazing at how, well, for me, like creating that project plan, you are so good at that. But then also, I mean, I know for myself, I ran into a lot of fear and needing the help to get past that, to even do the things I needed to do, which I think a lot of entrepreneurs face, especially when they're starting out. So how do you handle people like that?
Yeah, and this is, I think, the bit that I do a little bit differently than a lot of business coaches that people work with, because I developed something I call the Think Framework. And the Think Framework is just a way to manage your brain. Why do we need to manage our brain? Because all we have to do is create that challenge. Because if your brain says, I don't know what I'm doing, I've never done this before, I'm scared, or what if somebody from my old job sees this, or any one of these types of thoughts that might be spiraling around in your head, then executing on a strategy like a challenge becomes really impossibly difficult to do. And instead of understanding it's because of what you're thinking and who you are being in that moment, you actually blame yourself. You think it's because you're not good enough and you can't do it, and everybody else out there is doing it, so what's wrong with me? And that's the first place we start, because what I find when I help you create a plan for your business, so when we do that, we decide, well, what is the right tool or mechanism to turn followers, or even go and get followers, turn them into leads so that we can then try and sell to them. The first thing we do with that plan is set some dates up. Then it allows your beautiful brain to say to me, but. And that's where the work is, because the work is actually on getting you to believe that you can do it, that it is possible. And no offense to Danielle, but you can all tell she's a perfectionist. And there are lots of us out there who are perfectionists. And so therefore we always are highly critical of anything that we do, to the point we don't even get started with it. And here's the beautiful thing about having that plan. That plan then enables us to recognize that and see it quicker than if I only checked in with you once every few weeks or few months to say, how's it going? Because we've got a tangible steps, and they're tiny little steps that we must execute on every single day to give that revelation and awareness to us. Because I think that's the quickest, fastest way to become successful, because it's never about the how, It's always about who do I need to be to create the work I need to do in order to have what I want, which is clients, which is sales. So that's
Right.
more what I tend to want to unpack with each person.
Yes. And I think that's half the battle, if not more than the battle, at least for me and what, my experience of, how much I've grown just working with you. I don't know if I want to say mentally or emotionally or all of that, just the whole mindset shift. I don't know if you want to call it mindset shift, but just working through all those barriers that were in front of me. And like you said, setting those realistic goals that I could achieve, just small little steps kept bringing me further and further. And then you get that momentum.
Yeah.
But I definitely had my ups and downs, but you were always there to pick me right back up with some more of what is it called again?
The think framework. Yeah. So
framework.
yeah. So that's just look, all it means is, well, you know this, but we'll tell everybody, the T is for thoughts. So I use Brooke Castillo's model. So for those of you out there who know Brooke Castillo, you'll know this, which is your thoughts create your feelings, which create your actions and results. It simply means that if you don't have the results you want, and let's say for all of us, it's clients, it's income, it's steady cash flow, it's a business, it's not a hobby, it's a business, then we know that there's something wrong with our thinking, because our results prove our thinking. And so sometimes that's difficult for us to accept and understand, but I actually loved learning that. That changed my whole life, because then I finally understood that I had the power to choose the way I felt, and that it wasn't the fact that, because I often would say, I'm really tired, I can't be bothered. It was my favorite line. I'm really tired, I can't be bothered. But really the thought I had is, I don't know, I don't think I'm good enough. I don't think people will want to work with me. What's the point? That person over there is better. And that's what was happening. But I didn't know that until I had this model that I could use to figure out how I thought. And then we go to the H, which is the how. And how can never be understood unless we first become the person who can execute. And that was another revelation to me, because I always used to think, being a project manager, here's my tasks, let's just crack on and do them. But when it's your business, and your business as a coach is a personal brand business, it means that it's important to you. You've attached all sorts of other meaning to it. When you tune up as an employee, you don't have the same feelings, because you're working for somebody else on their mission, their goal, their viewpoint, and it's not personal to you. Building your business is. And so then we have to figure out, well, who do I need to be? And I'm sure you've all heard that, the be, do, have model. Who do I have to be to have the things I want, to do the things I need to do? And then the next one is I. And I use inspiration as the I, because for me, if I'm inspired, I'm not tired.
Very true.
So more than likely, I can inspire myself to record the video for my challenge or whatever I'm working on, than if I'm not inspired. So I will go back, I always think of the think and I loop it backwards and forwards. So if I'm not inspired, it's because I'm not being the person I need to be. Who do I need to be? I need to be a business coach who shows up and helps and serves. And therefore I need to then go back to the thoughts. So what am I thinking? What would a business coach who's got lots of clients be thinking? Would she be thinking I'm too tired? Or would she be thinking I can get this video done? Then I can get this piece of, I don't know what it is, training material done. So that's how that works. And then the end, because I think you and I suffer from this jointly. Our little brains, bless them, because it's always the brain. Brain is third person, it's not you. That's what I like to remind everybody. Comes up with all the story and all the negotiation and all of the reasons. And so that one stands for no negotiations and no excuses. And that to me is key, because my brain is very adept at explaining why I can't do something before it's going to tell me why I can. So I look at that. And then K is knowledge. And I use knowledge a bit differently, because I know a lot of people think the more we can learn, the better off we will be. But unfortunately, my brain likes to go down rabbit holes, shiny object syndromes, and all sorts of different things. So I've learned that knowledge is best when I confine it. So I use what I can't remember the dude who came up with it, but the 5x1 model in my business. And you know, I encourage everybody to use the same thing, which is 1 year, 1 offer, 1 sales system, 1 target market, and 12 months. And that means I'm really narrowed down, and I add 1 mentor. Because if I'm following multiple coaches, my brain loves that. Because then my brain can go, oh, but Jack said to do this, and John said to do that, and Mary said to do that. I don't know which one will work, so I'll just sit here and do nothing. Brain,
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah, my brain has had me stuck for many times for long periods of time. And you know, what's so nice about working with you is that you can relate, and you are open, and it's not just this is business, it's what you do, go do it. I would be like stuck in a rut, and I would look forward to getting the call with you, because I know you're going to fix my brain before we get on to the business part of it, and help me set realistic goals to move forward.
Yeah. And remind you, you're not behind, and it's not too late. And it doesn't really matter what happened a month ago or 6 months ago, because you know, we both know humans love to overestimate what we can do in the short term, and then we underestimate what we can do in the long. And guys, as coaches, I know for me, I thought when I started coaching, I would earn my first 6 figures in my first year. I was horrified that I didn't. I couldn't understand what had gone wrong, because I earned that without even trying as a program manager. And that was something that was quite difficult for me to appreciate. And I think anybody who's come out of the corporate world into coaching or building their own business, and I know even for you, because you're also an employee, it's really quite confronting to not get clients and earn income quickly. And yet if we stop and we think, does it really matter if it's 1 year, 3 years, or 5 years? In the scheme of things, does it matter? And then we can take that pressure off that it had to have happened in the first 6 weeks or the first 6 months, because that then gets you stuck again. Yeah.
So back to well, I had something to say, and then I just completely went on my brain. There it is, that brain thing again, that little lizard, as you call it.
The pain, yeah. So when I talk leads and sales and how do we create more of them, look, the quickest, fastest way is to pick a plan. There are so many different ways to create a leader or follower. So we've got the organic, free way, or the paid ways. So you've just got to select one. Paid is great for when you understand what your offer is and when you've got tangible proof that you can convert. Because, you know, you can go and get Facebook ads, and Facebook ads work. They used to work really well in the olden days, but these days it's not as profitable as it was, but they still work. Yahoo does ads now, so does Google, so does YouTube. Ads are available for anything, but I always suggest, until you know your copy messaging is converting, stay in the organic path, stay free. So what does that mean? Again, there's multiple choices, which is why I always like to think we come up with the best strategy for you, because everybody's unique and different. I think a cookie cutter doesn't necessarily work for everybody. And so we sit there and we go, well, what niche are you in? What is the product you serve? And how many clients are you looking to create? And here's an interesting thing that blew my mind when my coach told me, if you want to have 1 sale, you must have 50 leads. So you times it by 50. So if you're hoping to have 10 clients, you'd need to have 500 leads. So that means you need to create a way to get those followers or strangers to put their hand up and go, yeah, I really like what you're doing. I'm going to opt in for something. So whether that be your freebie, which we could talk about a little bit more as well, but we could talk about everything and we'll be here all night. Because I like to now tell everybody, only create high value freebies. Only create a freebie that is as good as your competitor's paid product, because the market is flooded with the cheap freebie and people don't want that anymore. So it could be a freebie like that, like a 5-day video series, a 3-day video series, whatever. Or you can bring them straight into a challenge or a paid workshop. It just depends what your business is. And then, of course, everything you're doing has a call to action, and that's how we create a sale. And the thing about sales is if you don't 100% believe in your offer and you don't 100% believe in your price, and you wouldn't buy your offer and pay that money, why would anybody else? So your first sold, paid up client is always going to be your brain because they have to be behind it. And that's why, you know, I'll often say to you guys, there is no right price. There is also no right offer, just the price and the offer you make right. Because again, we're all unique and individual.
Yeah. And I like how you know, I just talk about my experience working with you is, you know, you have all these different things that you can do. You know, we talk about like the paid ads, like you said, the free, the organic reach. There's a lot of different ways you can do it, the masterclass. And, you know, there was times where I was like, okay, I'm not comfortable doing this yet. You know, okay, I'll do this, you know, and you just get started on what you're comfortable with. And then as you go, you get more and more comfortable, and you're willing to try new things. But it's a process, and no one's making you go from, you know, 0 to 100. You have to get there in your comfort zone, but also with the work that we did as well on the brain. Yeah,
step by step. Because I think the worst thing that we can do, and I did this, remember my Facebook page was that word, depublished. I can't say that word, everybody. And it took me out for 7 months. Mentally, I couldn't cope with that because the whole thing I kept thinking is, what was the point? And I had forgotten I have a really good email list. But because of that one thing, it took me out. And I think that is what we as entrepreneurs and business coaches and coaches of any ilk trying to create a business suffer from sometimes, because we work in such isolation. And so if we haven't got somebody in our head telling us all of the things that we possibly can't see, then our brains do what our brains do.
Right. Yeah. I think just even people who haven't started a business, but just wanting to start out. And then I know I had that like fear. What if I can't do it? What if I'm not good enough? What if all of those things. And so if you feel that way, you're not alone. And so having a conversation with Liz would be super helpful. She'll help you get your brain on track. But that's one thing that was really, the first time I met you, I was just like, okay, I connect with her. I can see, I can work with her. I know it's not just a business coach relationship. You know, you really truly care and want the best for your clients. You want them to succeed. And so you always give beyond what I would have expect out of a business coach.
Oh, you're making me blush.
Well, I'm just speaking the truth.
Well, it's because, you know, this is why I created Game Plan, right? The reason I do Game Plan every year is because I have been the struggling coach that has signed up for the very many different high-level programs and courses and all sorts of things out there, and they're all brilliant. They all work. 100% know that for sure. They're all brilliant. They all work, but they might not work for me. And some of them didn't work for me. They didn't give me what I needed, and that was because my brain is wired negatively. So my brain will see all of the reasons why not and all of the drama before it's going to let me fly. And that meant in the early days, I needed a lot more support mentally than I do now, potentially. And I didn't find that in any of the other high ticket programs and courses that I was a part of. I just felt like one of a number of people who could disappear. And so that's what I like to do with my clients, as you know, is, you can disappear, but not for long. Come back to the world, come back in, because that's what I always wanted. I wanted somebody to help me become the version of me deep down inside I knew I was.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same way with my clients too. I'm like,
yes,
they can't leave. I mean, eventually I'm just gonna check on them anyway because
yes,
I care and you care. But I
yes.
have been in also in other business mentorships where, I mean, one girl I worked with her and she used to cover my vacations as a dietitian, and there was no connection on it was just all business, and I couldn't even like get a conversation with her, a normal conversation. So it was very interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
Yeah. No, I don't. I think when it's something as personal as you're building a business, and for us again as coaches, it's more than just building a business. We're becoming a different person.
Yes. Mhm.
And then suddenly,
Absolutely.
yeah, and we make everything mean it. Well, I'll speak for me. I made everything mean everything. Like, why is nobody engaged? And in fact, you game planners, nobody's engaging in this Facebook group right now. But I've learned it doesn't mean anything. And that
Right.
took a lot of coaching of my brain to get me to that point, because I would attract, no comments. That meant I wasn't good enough. No engagement. That meant nobody liked me. And that's not true. It's 100% not true. Facebook algorithm sucks, if the truth be told.
True. And there's people that watch a long time before they ever reach out. They're just watching. There's the quiet people. They're not saying anything. They're not commenting. They're not liking, but they're watching. And
Yes.
then all of a sudden they show up.
Yeah, and then they become a client.
Yep.
And they don't need to come through follow a lead client. They just go follow a client.
Yep.
Because
Absolutely.
only if you show up for them, which is a conversation I think that is an important one, which is you have to be showing up. You have to be visible. You can't disappear on them, which is, again, what a lot of people do in the early start parts of their business, is that they'll do an activity, they don't get the result they want, so they disappear and lick their wounds for a bit, and then they come back. But what you've got to remember is that your person is actively looking to have their problem solved. So if you disappear on them and they get into the place where they're ready to buy, because like you said, it can take a number of interactions or viewings to get them to the point where they're ready to buy. You've disappeared, they're going to buy from somebody who's still serving, which is why showing up and getting regular and consistent is so important.
Right.
Agreed. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Whew.
So any last I don't know, advice?
Yeah. Look, here's what I say to everybody. You can be as successful as you choose to be. There are some coaches on the planet that want to make $1 million. There are some coaches on the planet that want 15 clients. There are some coaches on the planet that love one-to-one. There are some that love group. There's some that love masterminds. The world is big enough. You can do what you want. But if you're finding that you're not making progress, I always suggest, do you have a plan? And it's the last thing most people want to have. They don't want a plan, but we're not planning for planning's sake. We're planning so your brain can reveal to you why it can't figure out how to do what you want it to do. Fix that and you fix your problem. And then consistency is what happens. Dedication is what happens. Discipline is what happens, because you know strategically where you're headed. So start with the end in mind, plot your plan, and then execute. And you guys, if you're getting stuck with that, that's where you need the help the most. Not in your copy, your messaging, or your marketing, or how do I do a program, because those things come when you move yourself. Is what my last final advice would be.
I love it. I love it. And I agree. And yeah, I mean, I like a plan, but I didn't think I would. So it definitely made a difference. I mean, just a 1 week plan, you get it all done. You get it done because it's there and you can check it off. And at least that's what I like to do. And I mean, I did more in 1 week than I did in 6 months after we set a plan.
Yeah, and little teeny steps. And I think that's the other thing. It's not a giant leap that you need. It's a tiny step.
Yep.
Tiny
And
step.
it was small.
Yeah.
It wasn't a lot of stuff, but I was just like a fish out of water for 6 months going, what am I doing?
Yeah, because you wanted to create a course, but instead you just needed to create one video and then another and then another, yeah, so on and so forth. Alrighty. Well, I am conscious of time and we are the last interview. So everybody, I want you all to give Danielle a virtual clap for interviewing me. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, and a clap back to you for the summit and everything else.
And so I'm just going to sign off to the audience. Thank you, everybody, for being part of this summit. What you don't know, but I will let you know now, is that there is now going to be a 48-hour replay. So if there are any of the speakers over the last 5 days that you didn't catch, or that you have thought about and thought, I wish I could go back and watch that interview, guess what? You've got the next 48 hours. So from pretty much now until Monday at midday PST. Oh no, Monday my time or Monday your time. I don't know, but anyway, 48 hours. That's the problem when we're on different time zones. To watch everything again. Any questions, please, as always, feel free to come back and ask me. And it's been a pleasure and a joy working with all the beautiful speakers who turned up for Game Plan. And I will see you all soon or next year for Game Plan 2024. Thanks, Danielle.
You're welcome.
All righty. Bye.